These are some of the sounds of winter. Winter, winter, winter. I don't think we have the two-side sound thing on. Oh.
I just ruined the ASMR by laughing.
Happy holidays! Happy holidays! Hello everyone, welcome to our December episode. What's going on, Tae? How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you, Sammie?
I'm really good. It is the holiday season, and we are cozy here in California, and watched a lot of new interesting stuff, I would say.
I know. We're actually, like, on top of the upcoming media, or the recent media, I suppose.
We're in it kind of the, holiday season movie and TV renaissance, because they know everyone's locking in to watch TV.
Yeah. It was really smart to release, like, Arcane right before Thanksgiving break.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even though... Oh, that's true. They released the third part right before the break.
Because then that way, like, you can binge the whole thing if you're, like, those type of people that don't like to start shows until it's all out.
That's, like, probably a good move with Arcane because it was so confusing for so long.
Dude, it was crazy because I feel like they baited us so hard with, like, the end of Act 2 and then
Spoilers for season 2, by the way.
Spoilers! Yeah, my bad. I was about to be like, and then Isha died, which, yeah.
She does.
She does die.
Oops.
But, yeah, they didn't address that again at all in Act 3, but then Well, barely.
Well, Jinx tries to kill herself.
That's true. But they don't, like, let you sit
4
in
times.
it, you know?
They don't let you sit in anything.
They don't let you sit in anything. That's true.
Let's start out. Did we like it? Did we not like it? I did not like it very much.
Yeah, I was like, that pause was me thinking. I think I thought it was beautiful still. The animation's still gorgeous. And, like, the characters are still interesting. But yeah, I think overall, I didn't like it that much. Maybe like a 5 out of 10.
They were just like, there were so many characters as 5 out of 10. That's low. Wow, okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the mid.
No, I mean,
rating,
I agree with
you,
but that's brutal.
Would you rate it also a 5 out of 10, or what would you?
I don't know how I would rate it, actually.
You're just confused.
I think I'm confused.
Real.
Yeah,
I mean, you just finished it.
I just
sat on
finished
it, for a while.
like a half hour ago, maybe. But I was, the scope was so large. All the characters were doing something different. And I gotta be honest, I still don't know what the Arcane is. I don't know if I will ever know.
No, you're so real for that. I mean, I was telling Sammie this right before we started recording, but I thought that the Arcane was that ball at the bottom of the Hex Gates for, like, basically the entire season until I realized it was, like, just part of the Arcane, like a glitch. An anomaly in the Arcane, and I was like flabbergasted when I found out it wasn't the whole Arcane, and I don't know if we ever actually saw the whole Arcane.
Like, what does the word arcane mean?
Just like magic, right?
Is it?
I don't know, let's Google it.
That's the other thing that's really confusing because they're all like, we need the arcane because there's no magic in this world, and then there's the Black Rose people who are mages, so there is magic?
Yeah, I think a lot of societies went away from magic, including Piltover, and that's why the Black Rose is kind of persecuted. Or attacked, at least.
So they could have magic. That, like, they don't need the arcane.
I think all magic taps into the Arcane. Because I remember them mentioning that the Black Rose is part of...
You're right. Because they're like, Mel, you've touched the arcane.
You've touched the Arcane.
Or you've been touched by the arcane.
Yeah, and then Victor, I think, or maybe Jace could, like, see her as... I think it was Victor, could see her as, like, this glowing, like, entity when he was, like, locked into the Arcane dimension.
Okay, arcane as an adjective... is understood by few, mysterious or secret. And actually, now that I read that, I actually did know that, but thinking of the arcane made it so confusing that I never...
I was thinking of the Arcana.
What is that?
You should look that up too, because I don't know. The top of my head. But it's the dating sim.
Dating sim?
Yeah, based on, like, I think a lot of it's based on, like, tarot cards or something.
The Arcana. A mystic romance. Ooh. A luxurious and interactive visual story. What is Otome?
Oh, that's just there. That's Otome?
Otome?
I think that's just like a type of dating sim game. Anyways, we're getting off track.
Anyways, rabbit holes down Google. It really annoys me on the AI thing when they like give wrong information.
Oh yeah, it's evil.
We're not going to get into Wicked yet, but I saw on Tumblr, someone looked up, like, what is the ship name of Elphaba and Glinda? And they were like, I don't remember what it said. It was like Felfie or something. Flinda. It was Flinda. They were like,
that's
the AI generated response was like,
Flinda.
The ship name between Elphaba and Glinda is Flinda, which is just insane.
Yeah, no, that's pretty silly. Okay, I feel like what we should do is... Okay, so you thought it was confusing. And so that's one of your critiques. And then, what did you think about... I feel like we should talk about, like, the characters and their relationships, and then we can talk about, like, maybe, like, the political implications of the season. So what did you think about... I feel like the main 3 arcs, or maybe 4 arcs, were, like, Vi and Caitlyn, and then with their whole, like, Kate's fascism.
Vi and Caitlyn, and then their own individual, like, Vi's arc, Caitlyn's arc.
Right.
Then their arc together.
Should we start with that?
Well, let's try to name them, because I feel like there's so many.
And then there's Jason Victor's whole, like, Arcane arc.
Yeah.
That's another one. And then there's Mel's Black Rose arc.
Yeah.
And then there's...
Ambessa Caitlyn tension.
That's true. I feel like I'm including that in the other ones, though.
Oh, that's...
like,
yeah, that's
more
like
Caitlyn's
thing.
Arc. And then
also Ambessa's like thing too.
Arc.
Jinx's arc is another major one. That one was maybe my favorite.
Yeah, that one was actually well done. I feel like they let you have emotional like resonance in the scenes.
And then there's also Ekko's arc at the very end.
Yeah. But
which like he got a whole episode, but like I also wouldn't
He didn't really have an arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well he kind of
He did.
He said the thing about he was becoming really jaded because he kept being frustrated that like Piltover and Zahn were not, he just was like focused on all of the issues there, but then when he saw how good it could have been, he was like, oh, I stopped. He said something to Powder about how I had stopped seeing it for what it could have been and only saw it for the bad parts of what it was. So like that was kind of his realization there, but because it was isolated to one episode at the very end, and okay, here's my soapbox. This is the problem with doing all of your character development in like these individual episodes, because like Jinx had her own episode too, and that was great, and it was really helpful that it was at the beginning, so that even when she only had like little segments later in the episodes, it was still fine because we had all that base. But then Ekko is nowhere to be found for most of the show.
Dude was gone for Act 2.
Yeah. And I feel like this started because, and I couldn't tell you what show it was, but it was like a show during or like immediately after the pandemic that did something like this, where they had like an ensemble cast. And then everyone had like their own episode. Wait, okay, you know what? You know what I'm thinking of? This is maybe not it. But in Stranger Things Season 2, there's like a whole 11 focused episode where she goes off
to the lab
meet
or whatever.
like her siblings in the lab or something. And I thought the episode was so boring. I did not like it. And it was pretty controversial, but I remember people talking about it like, oh, that was so cool that they did that. And I feel like ever since then, shows have been doing that. And now it's just gotten worse and worse because they'll give like most characters, but not every character, their own individual episode. And yes, I'm talking about Agatha All Along because they did that. They gave almost everyone their entire new episode. And by everyone, I only mean Joe Locke and Patty Lupone.
I don't know anything about that show.
Anyway, Tay didn't watch that show, but that's okay. It was really bad. I don't recommend it. But they also did that in that show. And it's just a thing now.
Okay, but honestly, I feel like you could pull it off if you had good writing. Because from what I know, Agatha All Along has shit writing. So it's like not a good example. No, but the reason that it's not a good idea, like, it's an easy thing to do because it's a character study of an episode. So you don't have to juggle, like, multiple plot lines at once, and it allows you to slow down and examine. But the problem is all seasons don't have enough episodes anymore. Like, it was fine when we used to have 22 episode seasons, but we don't do that anymore. I think you need to have, like, focus episodes, like, per character. Maybe the issue is just, like, they're going solely into, like, backstory or something with, like, these character episodes. But I feel like honestly, my favorite episode of this season of Arcane was the Ekko episode, because I feel like
same.
it actually had like good pacing, and we got to connect with the characters and like feel what he was feeling and like learn about his relationship with like Jinx / Powder. And I feel like that was all and then plus the Jace part was just like, that was funny.
Yeah, that was the dichotomy.
Yeah.
It's like, Ekko's like, wow, this is Piltover as I've never seen it before. And then like
Jason
Jace is
agony.
like, this is Piltover as I've never seen it before.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like that was good. And I feel like the reason why it did work in that one contained episode was because he was connected to like other relationships. Like it was about his relationship with Jinx. It wasn't just like only his backstory or something. So it's still related to the characters who are important to the season. I think the reason why it didn't work overall is because all of the other episodes should have had that vibe. And instead the other ones were just like plot event after plot event with no like room to breathe or like feel what the characters were feeling.
Yeah. See, that's what I mean. Like, that's the sacrifice, though. It's because, like, if we have these episodes that are solely focused on one character, it felt like, at least in this show, it meant that we couldn't have those characters at all. Or, like, very little of them in the rest of the episodes.
I see what you mean.
And also,
like, it wasn't connected.
Yeah, the individual character episodes are much slower paced, and so the rest have to be so fast.
Yeah.
And so it just felt like bad time economics.
Yeah, it was bad pacing.
Yeah.
It's bad pacing. I agree with you. I honestly, that's interesting that because you're probably right. I only really saw episode 7 as a character focused episode, but yeah, maybe we did get other. You said, which one did you think was the Jinx one?
The Jinx one was at the beginning.
Maybe it just felt
like
more normal, so I just accepted it.
No, I feel like it was episode 1, 2, maybe 2, because it was the one where she was hanging out with Isha, and it was really establishing their relationship. And that's also why it was so sad that there wasn't really a lot of time to grieve Isha.
Yeah, she was like important, and then bro was just gone.
Because then it really makes her seem like fridged.
Yeah, it's just like for the plot.
Exactly.
Basically.
Like their relationship changes, Jinx, whatever, but then like we have to grieve that with her. It seemed more just like, oh yeah, that's why she's upset. That's why she's like suicidal now.
No, that's how everything felt. I would say like Vi and Caitlyn's arc suffered the most from this, because I think they got done dirty. That's my opinion. Because I feel like Vi and Caitlyn, like they hit points. You know, like Caitlyn becomes a dictator, Vi's betrayed by her because, like, you know, she like punched her in the stomach and was like, I'm becoming a fascist now. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, and then they make up because Vi, like, and Caitlyn, well, you know, like, Vi's like, I need to save my dad, and Caitlyn's like, well, you shouldn't lose a parent too, and like also she folds because she calls her cupcake.
Is that why? I was so confused about that because I was like, did Caitlyn come there with plans to betray Ambessa, or?
It seems like it because, I mean, she knew. Okay, well, you would think maybe she just knows this because she's also their leader, but she knew all like the guard shifts and like all of that stuff. So people were saying online that she probably was planning that beforehand, like just in case at least, that if she needed to like betray Ambessa.
Right.
I don't know. I've seen like interesting stuff about like how dedicated people think Caitlyn actually was to her like fascist arc, but.
Well, you know who wasn't dedicated to Caitlyn's let me say that again. You know who wasn't dedicated to Caitlyn's fascist arc?
Maddie?
The show.
Oh, yeah,
the show was so undedicated to it. I noted in my notes somewhere, I can't remember, I was upset because they weren't letting Caitlyn go. I can't tell if it was like a character choice for Caitlyn that she didn't see herself as such a villain, or if like the show... It honestly, to me, it just felt like the show was just like really trying to preserve her character because they knew they wanted to redeem her so that they could have the ship at the end.
So you feel like they didn't commit hard enough? Because
it kept being like she would. What was the name? Maddie,
the redhead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they were sleeping together, right. And then the first time they show that, Maddie's like, you know, you could call off all these checkpoints and like the over policing, like you could stop this right now. And she's like, nah. I'm not going to do that. Like, I want to keep doing this.
Yeah, she's like, we need to get Jinx.
Yeah. Like, we need to keep, like, making these people's lives worse for my revenge. And then she goes into a meeting with Ambessa, and she's like, your man made my checkpoint violent. Like, he came in and made it violent. This is your fault. You're the one bringing the violence to my peaceful over-policing.
Yeah, no, and then she was also like, oh, we can't do arrests without cause.
I know.
Which I was like, girl, you established, like, martial law.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was kind of baffled by that. I was like, Caitlyn's bad now. What are you doing? Like, pretending that she's not.
Yeah, I feel like that was okay, though, because it kind of showed how, like, cringe like, when you're a fascist. Like, you're so inconsistent. It's very, like, hypocritical and stuff. So I feel like I wasn't too upset about that personally. I think what was the issue for me is, like, okay, so she makes up with Vi, right? And they decide to work together to, like, go get Vander, and they flop. But after that, I was like, surely they'll have, like, some discussion about this, which they have that, like, one conversation where Vi's in, like, the tank top, and then they, like, kind of a little bit talk about it. But after that, they just are, like, the next thing that it felt like, at least the next thing is just like, oh, now they're fucking in the prison cell after Jinx just said that she's gonna kill herself.
Okay, I didn't get that part where she was like, if I was like, you shouldn't have trusted me, or like, I always mess up, and then Caitlyn's like, do you really think I needed all the guards at the Hex Gate?
Yeah.
Oh, it's because she purposefully made it so there'd be no guards around so Jinx could escape easily. Is that what she meant?
Yes.
Because she kisses her after, and I was like, what did she do? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I think so. It was like she knew that was gonna happen, so she was like, whatever.
Oh, she was like, okay, I'll let her.
Yeah, she'll just like let her go.
And that's why they could fuck in the prison cell.
Yeah, but it was crazy because it's like she just left to like die. So you're just gonna like be chilling about that.
And then also, like, Vi's so upset. Like, but she...
Yeah, like, imagine your sister is just like, yeah, I'm gonna go die by suicide, and then you're
Did
fucking
she tell
in
her
the
that's
prison
what
cell.
she was gonna do?
Yeah, she was like... She said something that was essentially implying that. I forget her exact wording, but she did tell Vi that. And that's why Vi was, like, partially so upset. And that's why she also locked her in. It wasn't just so she couldn't get her. It was, like, so she couldn't stop her. And then that's why Ekko has to literally talk Jinx down. That was crazy.
That was such a good scene.
That was crazy.
Like, some applause for that crazy scene. I'm such a fan of Ekko's time travel thing. I told you this before. Mm-hmm. Like, it is the coolest thing ever. But, yeah, wait. I don't think Vi understood that, though.
I think she did. As soon as Caitlyn... And that's why she was so mad.
But then when Caitlyn comes in, she's like, you were right. I can't trust Jinx. I really thought she was going to help. Like, I was such a fool for thinking she was going to help.
Yeah, maybe she didn't,
like, I don't think she got that, like, she was going to go, like...
Well, either way, it's still kind of a crazy reaction.
That they had sex after that?
Yeah, which I feel like
that's a normal thing in this show.
Yeah, I feel like that's fine, like, if they were going to be, like, messy and toxic or whatever. But the thing is, like, it was that... And then suddenly they were fighting in, like, the battle against Noxus together. And then now they're, like, I don't know, they're just, like, together still.
Yeah.
It feels, like, very unresolved. Because, like, obviously it seemed like Vi was not doing too well. Because, you know, she thinks Jinx is dead and stuff. And, like, she was, like, depressed in the room. And then Caitlyn's like, oh, wow, you're, like, actually making a noise and humming or something. And then Vi was just like, I'm not going anywhere. And then it's like, oh, they're just, like, together. But I feel like they didn't actually ever process the fact that Caitlyn had her dictator era and that she, like, hit Vi with the butt of her rifle and stuff. Like, I feel like they never really, like, unpacked that. And I feel like that would be fine, but I feel like the implication is that there's gonna be together, and it's, like, a semi-positive ending. Like, it was giving the vibe that it's supposed to be good that Vi and Caitlyn are still together, and not, like, that they're in a bad, toxic relationship. At least that's how I interpreted it. Like, it was on the road to healing. But I was like, you didn't give us, like, anything to suggest that this is a viable relationship anymore.
Mm-hmm. Viable.
Yeah, no, speaking of Vi, I definitely think... People were saying that her character kind of got assassinated this season, which I sort of agree with.
No, because... she was ridiculous. Made no sense. Like, she was not down to kill Jinx ever. Like, that was so unbelievable at the beginning, especially with what happened with the rest. Like, she's not the kind of character that would be so hot and cold about her sister. She's just like, she's changed. Like, yes, Jinx did change, but Vi is just, like, she's the kind of character that values loyal. Family.
Yeah.
And so that just never made sense to me why she joined the Enforcers, even though she was hesitant.
Was crazy work.
But it was only for Caitlyn. Because, like, And this whole, like, thing of, like, whose side she's on, whatever. Vi has no reason to care about what happens to Topside. Like, why is she not standing with Jinx? Because she thinks Silco is evil? And then I was also, like, low-key, I was so confused in, like, Act 1 and 2, because I was like, wait, did people like Silco? I thought everyone in the Undercity didn't like Silco because he was, like, a villain and making them all addicted to drugs.
They liked him better than what it became after he died, because at least he had some control over the city, so it was less dangerous to live there. But then now that the Chem Barons were having, like, all the... So that's another arc they totally dropped, because the Chem Barons were having, like, a bunch of turf wars because they were like, oh, now Silco's gone, so I want to become the next Silco, essentially. And that was, like, there for, like, half an episode, and then they just forgot about it.
I didn't even get that at all.
Yeah, because that's why Savika was, like, pressed, and then that little, like, furry dude, that like, furry guy with the... Yeah, like the mechanical arms, I think. Yeah. That's what that was
in the Jinx episode.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they just dropped that too.
Yeah, they did not care about the Undercity by the end.
No, it was crazy. That was another crazy thing. Because, yeah, everyone's saying, like you said, like, Vi is, like, loyal and stuff. And I don't know. I feel like they could press their characters into those extreme points that they did if they have built up to it. But, because that's, like, interesting when you, like, put a character in a situation where they do something that seems completely opposite to their morals. Because it's like, oh, how did you make them get there? That's, like, interesting storytelling. Yeah. But, like, obviously...
But, and then
Did they do that?
I was also like, okay, so if I'm Vi, my sister is, like, somebody else now. She goes by a different name. She was working for this guy that I think is evil. And then she... does terrorism. Okay, actually, I would be upset if my sister did terrorism. Valid.
And kills your girlfriend's mom.
Okay, but the thing is, she kills her girlfriend's mom, and then is like, she's not my sister anymore. Yes, and? Like, why do you need to kill her? You know, like, she's only agreeing to go kill her for Caitlyn. And
well, because she was still doing terrorism and, like, causing...
She stopped after she met Isha.
Yeah, like, but they didn't know
she wasn't doing terrorism...
And also
season
she was
2.
a symbol. She was like the symbol of like the Zaun's like resistance against Piltover.
Right.
So if she had died, they thought the tensions would dissolve, which is stupid, but like that's what they thought.
Well, and then like why is Vi against that? You know, she's from the Undercity. Like
because she's on that crazy shit where she's like, I'm one of the good ones, and I can prove to Caitlyn to not dehumanize us by being like on the side of peace or whatever.
So cringe.
I know, but that's like valid that she's cringe, but they needed to have like done something with her after that, like so that she has an arc where it's like, oh, you can have self-worth like outside of other people's like opinion of you. You don't have to save everyone kind of thing. Because the reason why she joined the Enforcers was literally because she has low self-esteem, and then Maddie was like, oh yeah, you're one of the good ones, like you're such a hero to us, and then she was like, oh my god, really? And then she like joined the cops.
It's giving like you.
It took one affirmation.
You know, like she like moves to the nicer neighborhood, and then she like looks down on her like old
I don't
friends.
even think it was that.
No, I'm not saying that that's what she did, but that's like what it's giving, like that vibe.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of like, I feel like it's not that vibe specifically. Like, it's more like she got into the good neighborhood, and then to like convince them that she deserves to stay there, she decides to like start looking like being against the people that she once grew up with, which is slightly different.
Worse.
Yeah, it's worse, but it's like different, you know, like it's not like she no longer likes the Undercity. It's like she just is really desperate for other people's like approval, and like she wants to not feel dehumanized.
And once again, it just feels like it's all motivated by Caitlyn, which I don't know why I dislike it so much.
I mean, it's definitely toxic, but I feel like that's fine but they didn't resolve it, or they should have shown that it's supposed to be seen as like toxic. I think.
I wish it would just like feel better, and I'm not saying that this is like problematic or anything. I just like didn't like it. I think I would feel better about it it would make me like Vi more if she was like, Caitlyn, let's run away together. You know, like, not like, let me conform to this world that you live in.
Yeah, definitely.
And we can be here together.
I think they were trying to resolve all of her things like that, but maybe actually we are supposed to see them as toxic by the end. Because it seems like she's like depressed and like kind of like trapped in like Caitlyn's world now. Because Caitlyn's still like head of House Kiraman. She's still an enforcer. And then like Vi's just there.
Those were not the vibes at the end though.
Yeah, it seemed like I was supposed to be happy, right? Like I'm not crazy for that.
No, it was. But that's why it's weird. It's like,
Yeah, because it's like...
if Vi's not an enforcer, she has no role.
Exactly. She's just there, like, as her little pet.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy work.
Like, she has a whole life, and she wasn't
I mean, she
as
didn't really
influential
have a
as...
life, because she was in jail for the whole time
that's
before
right.
she met
I forgot about
Caitlyn.
that. When was she arrested?
She went from one cage to the next, bro.
Oh!
Oh.
A caged woman.
A gilded
for
cage.
her whole life.
No, literally, since, like, freaking childhood.
Okay, maybe that should have been her arc.
That she should be freed?
Yeah. Or she needs to free herself.
Yeah, I think they should have freed her, and then...
Free Vi.
I agree. Okay, like, obviously, the show can do what it wants, and it would have been kind of interesting if they made it end toxic, like, explicitly, instead of just, like, being like, this is a happy ending, but then, like, we know it's toxic.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it would have been interesting. Okay, they would never have done this, because, you know, in League, they're both cops. Like, Vi and Caitlyn.
Oh, so, like, after this, Vi goes back to being a cop?
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear, like, how much of Arcane is, like, following the League lore, but that is what happens in the actual game. Well, in my vision, which is deranged and not actually what happens, but I was like, if I had done season 2, well, one, I would have cut, like, basically all of the characters, except for Vi, Caitlyn, Jinx, and Ekko, and I would have made them the focus. And then I would have had, like, Caitlyn go hard into her dictator arc in the first couple episodes, which is what they already did. But then I would spend most of the show redeeming her, because you need more time to do that, because she literally was, like, a fascist dictator vibe. So I think she should have had, like, some major, like, life tragedy that forces her to see, like, kind of, like, quote, how the other side lives. That makes her, like... Because, okay, I saw some really interesting meta online about Caitlyn's character, and I wish they had done more with the dictator arc, because that could have been so good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's, like, Caitlyn is, like, a really good example of, like, someone who grew up with privilege, and she's, like, quote-unquote, like, liberal. Like, maybe she doesn't think, like, you should treat, like, minorities badly or something like that. But it's, like, all fake to her, because she literally is, like, rich. And she thinks that she's, like, doing something to, like, serve her country or whatever by being a cop. And she's like, I'm rebelling against my, like, prim and proper, like, expectations of, like, being some, like, hands-off politician.
Yeah.
And then she meets Vi, and then that's, like, her introduction to, like, oh, like, actually people in Piltover are kind of more privileged than people in Zaun, and, like, they are suffering. But then the instant it affects her directly, like, the resistance of Zaun people, which is, like, Jinx bombing her mom and killing her, she's like, oh, you're all animals. Like, that was, like, phrasing she started to use more and more throughout season 2, which I thought was really interesting and good writing, because it's like, yeah, that's how the dehumanization starts. Like, oh, you're bad, so now you're all bad. And then it's, like, easier to hate them. And it's easy for her to fall into that, because she was already set up for that with all of, like, her privilege. And that could have been so good!
It would have been so good.
But then it's just
But
over.
they were totally pulling their punches with,
Yeah.
like, trying to still make it seem like, oh, it's just because she's being manipulated by Ambessa.
I mean, that kind of is how it is, though.
I mean, she was being manipulated.
Yeah, and I feel like that's fine, and it's still bad, even when she's being manipulated. Like, it's not an excuse just because she experienced, like, the loss of her mother. Like, it's not an excuse to turn to fascism. Or just because you're being manipulated isn't an excuse to turn to fascism.
Right. So I think, so I agree. They should have turned up the fascism.
Yeah, and they should have actually resolved that arc.
Yeah, because then it's just like everyone's united at the end by the fight against the...
That was crazy!
So you would cut the Jace and Victor and stuff and the Mel stuff.
Yeah.
Here's what I would have done. Mm-hmm. If I had to rewrite season 1 and season 2, I would have put Mel's whole mage thing in season 1. Because the fact that there was no mention of it in season 1, or even, like, for the first act of season 2, made it feel so out of left field. And, like, maybe there were signs there, but I was
Not
too
really.
confused to understand them. Like, when the Black Rose people came to threaten Ambessa, I was just like, okay, what'd she do to them? You know, probably something bad. Had no, like, I did not suspect it was related to Mel. So I would have given her that arc. She's already a mage, or, like, realizes she's a mage by the end of season 1. So
like
then,
a cliffhanger kind of reveal.
So that, like, in the space in the time in between, she's still, like, doing her political stuff, but she's, like, learning to be a mage.
That would be cool,
She can be there to, like, do cool stuff and, like, be part of the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
And then actually, like, as you were saying earlier, that, like, it would have been so much better for her arc if she was, like, had relationships with anyone
besides Jace.
Like, she can, like, partner up with Caitlyn, or, like, you know, and it's so also, like, kind of unclear to me what her motivations and also, like, what her allegiance was, like, to Piltover, but also it's, like, there's 3 forces. There's, like, Piltover and Zaun, and then there's Ambessa and
Noxus,
and Noxus and the, you know,
Black Rose,
Victor.
Oh yeah.
The Victor, like, arcane people. What should we call them? The hive mind.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure. And then there's, like, the hive mind. So it's, like, the hive mind versus Zaun and Piltover, but also Zaun and Piltover are divided. So it's, like, where is Mel? I know she's against the hive mind and against her mother, but, like, is she for Zaun or is she for Piltover? And they just kind of, like, don't really tell you. And I guess you assume that she's for Piltover, but then, like, she's never presented as, like, morally questionable.
She is morally questionable in the first
season 2. She's so morally questionable in season 1.
Yeah.
But season 2, she was preoccupied, which is fair.
Yeah, no, it was very disconnected. Like I said earlier, I do think she should have had a relationship with other characters. And especially with, like, Caitlyn, I was telling you this earlier, but I think that could have been such an interesting relationship because they parallel each other with their both being daughters who don't live up to their mother's expectations and are involved in politics and come from, like, a noble/royal background. Like, that could have been such a good foil potential. Because, like, Loki, her and Jace are kind of over by season 2. And so I think she needed to be more connected to the plot. But what would you have done with Jace and Victor? Because honestly, I do think that their arc was the most well-rounded. And that's why I haven't really been talking about it that much. Because I think they kind of did have, like, an arc. And it did make sense. And they did have, like, an emotionally satisfying ending.
Yeah, that was nice. And that was, like, I felt like, at least the Jace stuff, like, I was so confused about what he was up to until they revealed it in Act 3.
Bro actually had the most simple, like, motivations.
I don't know what it was. And, like, the reveal at the end was cool, that hooded figure guy was Victor. I saw it coming a mile away, but, like, you know, it was still nice that he was like, you're the only one who can show me this.
That was crazy, bro.
And I like that message that they came up with, that, like, perfection means the end of pursuit. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But it was fine. I thought that Victor was weird. And, like, the whole hive mind thing was fine. It just felt like a different show.
Yeah, which I feel like is okay.
It felt like, it was just another... I think it would have been enough to just have the Piltover Zaun conflict. And that's kind of what they did in season 2. So I understand why they wanted, like, a bigger bad to, like, unify. Or something like that. I don't know.
But that's what happened in season 1 too.
What happened in season 1?
Okay, because technically it was, like, Zaun versus Piltover because it was, like, Silco. He was the big bad. But the thing is, like, Silco is part of the Undercity, but I wouldn't say he is the Undercity. So I feel like that's what they did again, where it's like people from the Undercity, like other people from the Undercity were kind of like together with, like, Vi, represented by Vi, we're kind of with Piltover against Silco. Like, he became the big bad, where it's like, oh, the issues aren't, like, the oppression of Piltover against the Undercity. It's, like, Silco is the problem. As, like, him dealing Shimmer and that kind of stuff. And that's what happened again in the second season, where it's like, oh, yes, like, we built up, like, again, they built up tensions between Zaun and Piltover, and you thought they were gonna, like, have a big class, like, clash and things like that, but then, like, Ambessa's the big bad. So they kind of, like...
They're, like, pulling the rug.
Yeah, they displaced the blame of all the problems onto, like, a third entity, so that they never actually have to address the, like, class conflict.
Right. And I think in both seasons, they don't have to address the class conflict.
But it's such a big part of the plot.
No, I agree. Like, I think they should have instead. But you're right, they did do that in season 1. I think it's in a slightly different way, though.
Yeah, definitely.
In season 1, it's like, you put the blame on Silco, whereas in, like, season 2, they're just distracted from the conflict by something, like, you know, world-threatening. I don't know. What would I have done about Jace and Victor? I think like it made sense, honestly, that Victor had that Jesus arc and
Jesus era.
And I thought it was crazy that Jace killed him.
That was crazy.
I thought it was pretty hot when he was being so ruthless, though. I was like, wow, man, he's making decisions, because before he
was just, like, getting manipulated by everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, okay, good for him. I liked his
He
haircut.
was definitely more tolerable in the second season, because, I mean, don't flame me for this, guys, but I was, like, an extreme Jace hater. Like, I was his biggest op in, like, season 1. But I was like, you know what? He's fine this
You're valid
season.
for that. You're valid for that.
Yeah, I know, and then my sibling was saying it's probably just because Jace was in agony this entire second season, so that's probably why you didn't
and if
mind.
you hate him, you like to see him suffering.
Yeah, I like to see him suffering.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. I think it felt like everybody was just so separated.
Yes, 100%.
Everyone was having their separate arcs. It was like Infinity War.
Yeah, that is what it felt like. It really did feel like that.
If they never crossed over.
Yeah.
You know? Well, I guess... They don't cross
It did
over
feel like
a lot
Infinity
of
War Endgame. Like, that was the energy. It was just too crazy.
Too many characters, too much stuff going on. I'm confused. But Infinity War did it better.
Yeah, because there was build-up.
Coherent. Yeah, exactly.
Like, movies and movies upon build-up, yeah.
So, that was a bit disappointing. They still don't really get into the... Oh, and then also the last line. We were laughing about this when we watched it. When... At the last scene with Vi and Caitlyn, when Vi's like, I'm the dirt under your nails, Cupcake. You can't...
You can never clean me out.
That's so gross.
Bro, whoever wrote that,
it's like,
I'm your
okay, you're proud. Good. But that's weird.
Yeah, no, it was... I saw some people saying, like, what a crazy line to give to the Undercity character.
Yeah,
but
I mean, like, she's joking, I guess.
I don't think she was. I think she was serious.
That was, like, weird. I was like,
I think it was supposed to be romantic.
I was just like, that's cringe, girl. Like,
yeah, no, that was pretty goofy.
People, I don't know about people. Honestly, Vi was annoying. I think maybe I already mentioned this. Yeah, Vi was annoying to me. Oh yeah, what I was saying earlier is that I can't believe she was so down to kill Jinx, because she spends Act 2 and 3 being so concerned about Jinx and just, like, reaching out at every turn.
Yeah, that's how she was.
So strange.
I don't know. I feel like that one I was, like, less... Well, you know, I don't really actually remember it's season 1 that well, so maybe let me not speak on what Vi would or would not do. But maybe you're right. I just think overall Vi got done pretty dirty, like, her arc.
But she was hot this season.
True.
One of my friends is obsessed making edits. And rightfully so. I mean...
The Arcane edits are so good.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend about this, and they were saying, like, it must be, like, the video game fan base or something. They're just, like, better at editing. Because they have, like, edits where the characters are, like, cut out of the background and, like, layered on top of each other with, like, words and shit. Because, you know, usually it's just, like, it'll be the scene. And then maybe it's, like, aligned with the music. And then maybe sometimes they'll have, like, lyrics. But this one, it's, like, crazy. Like, it's wild. So if y'all haven't been seeing the TikTok edits, I recommend checking them out.
Yeah.
Is there anything you did like?
Arcane. Yes. I really liked Ekko's time travel thing.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
I mentioned that even on here already. It was just so cool, and then the way he used it at the end was so epic.
It was pretty good.
I wish we had gotten a scene of him, like, being okay after that.
Bro, him just sitting on the... Do you remember that scene of him just sitting on the roof afterwards?
Oh, wait, they did show him?
Yeah, they should. They show him.
My bad.
No, but he wasn't okay.
Oh, he wasn't okay?
Yeah, no, he looked really depressed because it was, like, paralleling the scene where in the alternate universe he's sitting with Powder and they, like, kiss and stuff. And then it was just him alone with the exact same shot of... with him and Powder.
And Jinx is dead.
Yeah, Jinx is dead. And he's just, like, looking, like, dejected.
Until that episode, I totally forgot that he used to like her.
Yeah. Time Bomb.
Really sad.
What's their ship name?
Time Bomb?
Yeah.
That's cute.
It's cute. But it was... Yeah, no, I was like, damn, the straights are losing. Like, that's kind of sad for him, not gonna lie.
They were really cute.
I
supported them.
Yeah, no, I supported them too. But it was just kind of messed up because I feel like Ekko... Like, I did appreciate his episode because, once again, that was my favorite episode. But I do wish, like you said, that he was threaded through more of the season. And I also feel like it's really sad for him because he literally, like, saved the world, kind of. Like, I mean,
no, he
yeah,
did.
basically.
Like, that would have...
And then he doesn't get to be happy. He's just fucking sad and alone on the top of the roof. Like, that's kind of fucked up. I don't know.
I wish that...
Justice for my man.
Yeah, and I really liked both Jinx and Ekko this season. They were my two favorites.
They had two of, like, the better, more emotionally resonant arcs.
Yeah. What did I like?
Who was your favorite characters were Jinx and Ekko.
Yeah. I liked Mbessa's outfits.
Okay, the outfits were really good.
It's
I will say the outfits were good this season.
I liked it.
They
I like
kinda
it when Caitlyn puts her hair up. She looks so much better than she did in season 1. I don't like her hair just, like, down.
Yeah. No, Caitlyn got a glow up, even though it was, like, in her fascist era also.
Yeah. And I like her, I love her, like, Steve Jobs turtlenecks.
Yeah!
So funny. Even when she, like, wasn't being evil anymore, she still wore them. And I was like, it's still hot.
Yeah.
With the ponytail. I enjoyed the Jinx and Ekko episodes. I liked Isha a lot, and I liked their relationship.
Yeah, I didn't hate Isha. I usually hate children in media.
You know what? It's because she didn't speak.
Maybe.
I think that's why you didn't hate her.
Yeah.
I hate to say it.
Yeah, maybe.
But I thought she was really cool. And I liked the relationship that she and Jinx had, but I did wonder if it was like, is this a vibe where it's like, oh, motherhood has changed Jinx?
I don't think
that's
it's like
a vibe. But then it was also like
it was like a sister vibe.
It was like older sister,
but
younger
also
sister.
I do think it was supposed to be like a little bit the mother vibe, or like the parental vibe at least, because you know that like thread throughout Arcane where it's like there's nothing so undoing as a daughter. Like I think they were trying to parallel that a little too.
Because the thing with Vander. Oh, also
that was
like,
crazy.
Vander died. Like they just
bro was just there.
They
to,
just
like,
didn't have. They forgot about
times.
that. You know, like Jinx and Vi didn't even have a moment where they're like, we can't save him anymore. You know, I expected them to because they give up at a certain point.
Yeah, no, that was dropped too. You're right. That was an entire important thing, but it just kind of fell flat.
And it was so important, and it also like. It took a lot of suspension of disbelief for me when they started that arc, because Jinx just goes to find Vi, and I was like, that feels, like, weird. You know? Like, it feels a little unrealistic. Mm-hmm. I know that Jinx was in her, like, stable era, but she just, like, waltzed in, and then, of course, Vi tried to kill her, but then, of course, she couldn't actually do it, because that was never in Vi's cards anyway.
Yeah, I feel like I could have believed that more, because it does feel kind of in character for Jinx, because I think she's pretty starved for affection. I liked the scene a lot when the like Jinxers came in and she saves them from the prison, and then they like all put their hands on her, and then that one woman hugs her, and then she's like quaking. I thought that was really good, because it was like kind of showing that she like wants affection really badly, but she's like terrified of it. So I honestly could buy into her going to find Vi, but I just feel like that was another case of like they did Vi's character so dirty that it kind of felt bad in general, like vibes, because it's like, is that Vi? You know?
No, it just doesn't make sense. It will never make sense to me, because it's like, Vi, why are you trying to kill your sister right now? She's acting like she killed her own mother, you know? Like, she killed Caitlyn's mother, and I know she really cares about Caitlyn, but it's like, that's your sister.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, it's like, one, they haven't seen each other in 7 years, and then also, like, two, she spent all of season 1 trying to save her, and then Jinx was just like, I guess, crazy at every turn, and then was also like literally doing terrorism and like killing people. It's just like, that's pretty bad.
Yeah, see, I don't really remember what Jinx did in season 1.
Yeah, this is like me not really remembering what Vi was like in season 1.
I know she killed Caitlyn's mom in season 2, and that's like pretty much what
I don't think, I mean, that was obviously a big part of it, and also like a bunch of time. See, that was the other thing.
Was that even Jinx,
a bunch
actually?
That killed Caitlyn's mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause she fired the bomb into the council meeting that killed Caitlyn's mom.
Oh, wait, that was in season 1?
Yeah.
Okay,
that was how season 1 ended. Like, that's the ending scene.
Right, okay.
Also, the other thing is a lot of time passed in between season 1 and 2. Like, not that much, but like a significant, like, couple months at least. And so I feel like it's reasonable to think, like, after spending so much time with Caitlyn and, like, in Piltover, maybe that changed her a little bit. But also, I think that's another thing the show did badly, is because there was, like, time gaps of months in between season 1 and season 2, and then also in between act 1 and act 2.
Right.
But it didn't feel like that. Act 2 felt like immediately afterwards, even though I know a couple months passed.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much that happens off screen,
Yeah, exactly.
makes it
they only show
confusing.
us the climactic points.
And, like, I
Feels
will
bad.
be the first to admit that, like, I was confused maybe just because I wasn't watching carefully or something, but also I do just think it was confusing.
It probably
and, like,
was,
they did some things that were kind of, like, unclear, and even if you were, like, paying really close attention, that it would still be kind of hard. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, things I liked.
Yes,
I'll
things
go.
you liked.
So my favorite character this season was Savika. So I did like seeing more of her. Although I
She
do wish
could have been more.
she could have
been
had
there
a better
more.
arc, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think her, like, ending up on the council was, like, an interesting choice.
That was cool.
Yeah, because I did like that they showed that the Piltover council members were all kind of, like, side-eyeing her, because it wasn't just like, oh, it's all happy now, like, they have representation.
Right.
But I really enjoyed, like, seeing her interact with Jinx. I thought that was really cool. And then the giving of, like, the arm and, like, Savika's attempts to, like, you know, rally the Undercity and stuff. So I wish they had done more with that, because she's, like, a cool character. And I did like her haircut.
What was it like before?
She had, like, a half up, half down, kind of, like, short bob. And,
Oh, yeah.
and then-
Her new haircut was much cooler.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It was cool. But, yeah, I was kind of sad they didn't show as much of her. And I really, really liked Mel in the first season. She was probably one of my favorites or favorite character in season 1.
Yeah.
So I was really sad they did her so dirty.
Remember when there were, like, when people were like, Mel didn't get enough arc, like, she didn't get enough screen time in season 1, and so then they gave her even less in season 2, and
Bruh.
tried to give her an arc, but it sucked.
Yeah, that was kind of messed up. Like, I'm definitely glad they at least tried to give her an arc. I'm glad. I would have rather had that than, like, no Mel. But it is kind of diabolical. And then I guess I like the fish guy.
Oh, yeah. You have to explain who the fish guy is.
Oh, yeah, the fish guy, the fish cop. I mean, you know, fuck the cops, but also fuck the cops. But,
Controversial. This cop only.
yeah, no, I'm sure he's also diabolical, but he had no lines, so... Or people are saying he maybe had one line, but he basically had no lines.
He was kind of a hero in the last battle. They showed his face a lot.
Dude, they showed him so much. I was so, like, weirded out. I was like, this dude is relevant. Even though I like him, but I was like, he's so irrelevant. Why is he getting, like, more screen time than, like, actual main characters right now?
No, low-key.
That was so random. I also was kind of like, damn, not the propaganda.
The propaganda is rampant.
Dude, it's crazy. Like, I knew they weren't gonna, like, do a critique of the cops, but I was really delusional in my mind and hoping that they would still do it. I also, okay, here's my vision, right? I think they should have had much more Ekko in a political way, because I think he was set up as a third alternative. Okay, so, like, Silco and Vander are the beginning of the two sides of, like, approach, where, like, Vander's kind of like, we shouldn't fight them, and then Silco's like, we should do violent resistance, and then Jinx is kind of like that as well, whereas, like, Caitlyn is just kind of represents, like, the status quo and, like, Piltover and stuff. But I feel like Ekko was, like, the third option, where it's like he understands that sometimes violent resistance is necessary, because, like, the Firelights do kind of, like, do terrorism as well, but, like, for betterment of Zon. But they also have, like, the basis of community, like Ekko's Firelights hideout. They actually have community where they're trying to build something else, and they're, like, actually helping each other, and that's kind of, like, the quote-unquote, like, ideal solution, where it's like Zon helps itself and is able to break free from, like, Piltover's oppression. But that's the other beef I have with the show, is it's, like, kind of confusing why Piltover even oppresses Zon in the first place. You know what I mean? I could expand if it's...
Yeah, expand, like, but, like, wasn't the whole problem that you had with the first season the fact that, like, Piltover Loki doesn't actively oppress Zon, and it's kind of implied that the problems in Zon are just there because there's a lack of control, because there isn't a huge police presence in Zon. That's why there's rampant crime, and, like, that's why it sucks there.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, like, one of my gripes with it, because it doesn't really make sense to me. I think we cut this out of, like, previous episodes, because I explained it really badly last time. But yeah, I think it's kind of confusing, like, the fact that Zon, like you said, doesn't have a heavy police presence, and that there's no real reason why they're jailing everyone. Because it's, like, implied that Zonites get jailed a lot by Piltover, like, Vi is, like, an example of that. But it's, like, in our world, when they're jailing people, it's, like, so they can force them to like do labor or to prevent them from having rights in society and things like that, because like once you're a felon you can't vote and things like that. So it's like to disempower like marginalized groups, mainly like black and brown men and stuff like that. But in their world, it's like the Zonites already don't have political say, and it's kind of like they just kind of like leave them there, and it's just, yeah, like you said, it's just implied it's just like shitty there because it's shitty, and it's not like anything Piltover is actively doing. So it kind of makes it seem like they're just ignorant to the fact that life in Zon sucks so much, not that they're like actively making it worse, which is how it works, like in real life. Like the oppressors aren't just like oblivious to what they're doing, or at least they know they're doing something. They're probably justifying it in their mind that it's not like evil, but they're not just like chilling about it.
They like get resources from Zon, but they don't really talk about that. They like mention that in passing in season 1.
Yeah, that was confusing because I was like, oh, maybe they're like mining something from Zon, and then that's why the air is so bad, because
there are
opening
mines,
those, like,
because remember in the flashback in season 2, Vi and
their
Jinx's
mom is
parents
mining,
come back with like miners caps.
So then maybe they should have expanded on that more, I feel like, because it was really confusing.
And also they go through the like mine tunnels, and then like someone in Caitlyn's family built some sort of system,
the air purification system.
Exactly. So
I guess there was like slightly more explanation. I just feel like they should have, like you said, focused on the class conflict, and that would have been a more interesting story than just like escalating into the fucking like Arcane is destroying the whole world.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine too, but like they could have just made that less complicated, so you don't need to spend as much time explaining it. Anyway, I think I would have enjoyed it more if I knew what was going on.
Yeah, that's fair. I just think the pacing ruined the enjoyment, because they had all the elements of a good story.
Yeah. And like season 1 was pretty good. Like I felt like I understood what was going on the whole time.
It was good.
Yeah.
And you actually got attached to the characters, and they're like interesting relationships with each other that developed over the course of the season, which was the draw, I think, of the show.
Yeah, it definitely was the characters, not like the Arcane lore.
The power stuff or whatever.
I feel like they never mentioned the Arcane until the very end of season 1, because at the very end I was like, what is that? Oh, or I was like, oh, that's the name of the show, but what is it?
I guess they were building up to it with all like the hex core and stuff.
Right, but it's also like the Arcane stuff is everything. It's like power, it's magic, it's also a hive mind, it's all these things. You could have just picked one.
Yeah, or if they did, they just needed to do the season about that. I do think that they should have included more of the tie-in with Victor and Jace in the political sense to tie it back to the Hextech thing. Because their thing was an escalation of the Hextech conversation, where it's like, we shouldn't use Hextech because it's magic, and magic causes the destruction of civilizations. And then Victor proves that by ascending through the Hex core and getting in touch with the Arcane, and then trying to like fucking turn everyone into a hive mind. But I feel like that thread could have been a little clearer. Like, this is an escalation of the Hextech moral dilemma, like Victor's whole thing, because that's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I clearly that wasn't obvious enough.
They dropped the ball. Should we play League?
No. Crazy question. Do we have closing thoughts? My sibling is in the room with us, and...
Oh, I forgot he was from Zon.
Yeah, they're saying that it was kind of sus that they made the big bad another person from Zon.
But the other big bad was Ambessa.
That's true.
Also, Victor wasn't bad in, like, he's bad because he's from Zon. Like, he was bad because he was fucking around in Piltover. You know, like, I feel like...
Well, his
it had
arc
nothing to do with...
is based on the fact that he's disabled, and he didn't want to be disabled anymore. And so he felt like he could purge everyone of that. And then he also saw the conflicts and stuff in Zon, and, like, the tensions of people there, and he wanted to resolve all that. And so that is kind of related to him being from Zon, because the reason why he's disabled is because of the pollution there caused him to, like, develop with, like, a broken leg. It's all connected.
Yeah, but he was redeemed at the end. I think
I think it's fine. Whatever.
I think it's fine.
I wish a show would actually go into that stuff. Like, well, you know, a show that does actually discuss class is Superstore.
That's not what I was expecting you to say. But you are correct. Superstore
kind of ate with that.
Superstore actually, like, hits kind of hard sometimes.
Yeah, no, for real. Like, they talk about unions and, like, working a minimum wage job and, like, all that good stuff.
Can you believe America Ferrera went from that show
to Barbie
with, like, that commentary to Barbie?
Yeah, I can't believe it, unfortunately. Let me see if I had any last closing thoughts. I have a quote in my notes that says, Ekko saved the world, but who saved him?
Oh,
It's so trash.
Justice for Ekko.
Justice for him, for real. Yeah, I think those were my main points. Overall, badly paced. Wish they'd done more with the classified, but didn't really expect that. And love Savika. She's so slay.
In my notes, I wrote for episode 5, Vi is hung up. Meanwhile, Caitlyn is fucking her subordinate. These messy lesbians.
That's also a pretty good summary. Bro, I was kind of flabbergasted they actually had the sleeping with Maddie arc, but I was eating it up. I was like, good.
Why was it flabbergasting?
Because I don't know, like, because to that point, they hadn't really shown, like, lesbian sex implied.
Oh, wait,
vibes.
what did we think about this sex scene?
Well, I already said that. I thought it was crazy they fucked in the prison cell after Jinx was like, I'm off myself.
Oh, yeah, that was crazy. I didn't understand at the end why Caitlyn, like, fell forward. I was like, I get it, they need to transition to another scene, but I was like...
Oh, probably because she was, like, orgasming.
I know, but she's gonna fall over. Anyway, we don't need to talk about it. The logistics, but I was like, wait, where'd she go?
Well, probably she was like, her knees were like, you know, weak because she was like... No,
watch it again. She was against the wall and then she like falls forward like this.
Wait, show me. We're gonna watch it right now. I guess it was longer than I thought.
Why is she doing that? You know what I mean? Wait. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you're right. That doesn't really
Maybe her head is like going forward like this.
Okay, well... This certainly has been an episode.
It's very long.
No, it is really long. Oh. Do you have anything really interesting hot take?
You said that you are a
Jayvik hater. That is kind of a hot take, yeah.
Yeah, why?
Why am I Jayvik hater?
Because you hate gay people.
Yeah, I hate gay people. You heard it here first. You can soundbite that. Yeah, it's just because, one, I was such a hater of Jace in the first season. I was just like, Jace is doing Victor dirty at every turn, and I don't think he likes him. But then, obviously, in this season, I was like, okay, yeah, no, he likes him. Like, they're gay. But I'm just like a hater because I didn't really like either of them this season, like, as characters. So why would I be invested in their relationship? I'm not like it was a bad arc or anything. I just personally wasn't that into it.
I like their little forehead touch at the end. I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's cute.
I see it.
No, I mean, I can see how someone would be emotionally
it.
invested.
Yeah.
But I can definitely see, like, how people can shift them because they do have, like, the whole, like, I'll find you in every universe. Like, you're the only one who can truly see me. Like, you know, they have all that dramatic shit.
It's at the very end.
I know, but, like, they were building up to it.
No. Like, I understand how people can ship them, but I don't buy it in the show because they give us so little... They give us nothing.
But they were pretty gay, like, all that stuff where he was like...
Oh, you know what? You're right.
Actually, yeah. I was like, what are you saying, bro?
They did have scenes together. I was like, what do you mean? They never saw each other once.
No, like, he was like, no, affection is what held us... He was like, affection is what held us together. Or whatever. Sorry.
That was good.
And then he's like, I thought... And then Jason's like, I thought you were done with Hex Tech. And me. And I was like, okay, gay ass.
They had sex, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just, like, I'm not into their ship together. Like...
That's fine.
Yeah. If anything, what ship am I into in Arcane?
Jinx and Ekko.
Yeah, they're cute. I do ship them, I guess. I'm not, like, gonna go seek out content for them necessarily, but I do think they're cute together.
I would not... I like, don't care about them, but... I ship them.
Yeah, actually, I think I was just feeling too deranged this entire season. I was like, oh my god, you know what I was so mad about? That the fucking cat furry got sidelined. I thought she was going to be important. Lest.
Who's that?
The cat furry. Yeah, and I was like, oh my god, like, they're actually putting in, like, a trans character who doesn't seem like is going to be just, like, an irrelevant side character, but then she become an irrelevant side character.
Yeah. She was cool, though. I saw an interview, or not an interview. She... did a tweet.
Yeah.
The actor.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That's all I saw, actually.
Yeah, no, I really loved her design, and... Oh, here's my hot take. I do think there's a certain subset of white trans people that are always culturally appropriating people of color, cultures of color, because they see this is related, I promise. They see like people of color's like versions of masculinity and femininity as more non-normative, and so they co-opt them to try to like do gender in a way that's outside of the Western binary. And so I thought Les' little turban thing was kind of giving cultural appropriation. I'm pretty sure Les is supposed to be a white cat girl. I mean, you know, she doesn't really
that's
have...
a lot of...
But I was like, wow.
That's a lot of, like, assumption, though, you know?
Okay, but I'm
like,
pretty sure she is supposed to be white.
I'm pretty sure that this cat person is supposed to be white. Like...
The actress is white, and the cat is white. She is a white cat. And so the fact that she was wearing that turban, I was like, oh my god, this is accurate representation on multiple levels.
Damn, okay.
Anyways, that's my hot take. That's my really hot take.
I feel like I have no response to that, so let's just leave it at that.
All right. Thanks for joining us this week. I hope you all enjoyed this episode. And we will see you probably sooner than in a month.
Sooner than you think.
And we will be back with our thoughts on Wicked. So thank you for listening.
Take care, babies. Bye.
Boy.